fakes the fumble. Goff goes crashing into the end zone.
It is intercepted by Jalen Ramsey.
Robert Woods, touchdown.
Picked off by John Johnson.
Touchdown, Tyler Higbee. Cooper Kupp plucks it out of the air.
Henderson with a good run and a first down, still on his feet. Touchdown, Van Jefferson. Everett in stride. Wow!
To the end zone. Cam Akers. LA will play for the Lombardi.
Breaking news. This important PSA is brought to you by Manscaped.com. This is your pubic service announcement and the news you've all been waiting for. The Manscaped engineering team has confirmed that they've successfully created the Lawnmower 4.0 trimmer, which is now available for purchase in the USA and Canada. This new trimmer was just released only moments ago, and we are one of the first to get our hands on it and share the news. Join over 2 million men worldwide who have trusted Manscaped with this exclusive offer for you. 20% off using the code DTR and free worldwide shipping at manscaped.com. All right, guys, welcome back to Downtown Rams. As always, I'm your host, Alexis Kraft, joined here with my co-host, Jake Ellenbogen, and we are coming to you today with an episode where we're going to go over the Rams 2021 NFL regular season schedule. The schedule release was 1 week ago today. It's been something that obviously everyone's talking about on Twitter, everyone debates about, everyone likes to predict not only what's going to happen in the games, but how the season's just going to go overall in general. And of course, as we've been seeing on Twitter, everyone's already buying their tickets to the games of their choice, which is always fun to see, and to be able to meet up with people this season. Honestly, after last season, that just wasn't reality because of the pandemic. So that's exciting as well. But what Jake and I are going to do is we're going to go through the schedule, each game one by one, and just give our brief thoughts on it and what we predict is going to happen in that game and why. And then, of course, we will have this episode to look back on when the season is over, and we will get to see just how right or how wrong we both were. But Jake, are you ready to get this started?
Yes, I am.
All right. So week one, the Bears go to Los Angeles to play Sunday Night Football. So we're going to see Chicago Bears in LA, and maybe Jake, Justin Fields starts this game. If you listen to the Chicago Bears management and coaches, they claim that Andy Dalton will be starting week one, which I am not sure I believe, but that's what they claim as of now. So the reality of this isn't going to change my opinion on how this game is going to go. My prediction for this is that the Rams will beat the Chicago Bears in Sunday Night Football, and I think we'll win by quite a lot. Even if Justin Fields is playing, whether it's Andy Dalton or Justin Fields, I do think the Rams come away with a win. Looking at our rosters, I just think the Rams are far more talented than the Chicago Bears, although the Chicago Bears do have a couple key players on defense, most notably Khalil Mack, who is obviously very good, but it's just not enough, I don't think, to overcome the talent that the Rams have. But Jake, what is your thoughts on that, and what do you think is going to happen on Sunday Night Football week one?
Yeah, I'm of the same mindset. I think when you have Matthew Stafford, who, started off last year playing against the Bears, lost in the final possession of the game. He threw a wide open touchdown, or so we thought would be a touchdown, to DeAndre Swift, and he dropped it. And so the Bears ended up beating him. I don't think he's forgotten that. So I think, Matthew Stafford, opening night, 8:20 p.m., bright lights, brand new stadium. I just don't see how the Bears win this game, regardless if it's Andy Dalton or if it's Fields. To me, Fields gives them the best chance. Everyone keeps trying to act like Fields isn't this NFL-ready quarterback, but Andy Dalton shouldn't even be starting in the NFL. So, where my thoughts are on that. I have the Rams winning big in this one. And don't be surprised if Aaron Donald just destroys this game and takes this to like a whole other level, because I could actually see a blowout in this game. And Vegas actually has the Rams as the biggest lead of any favorite going into their respective game. They are the biggest favorite on week one.
Yeah, I mean, that's not surprising to me at all. Like I said, I just think talent-wise, no matter who's playing quarterback for the Bears, the Rams just totally outweigh them. So I definitely think that most of us can predict that the Rams will win week 1, Sunday Night Football. But that leads us into week 2. So week 2, the Rams are in Indianapolis to play the Indianapolis Colts. And I predict that the Rams will win this game. I think the Colts are a better team than the Bears. They have Carson Wentz now. So they are dealing with a new situation at quarterback. But I just don't quite think that the Colts are there to really be considered, quote unquote, a contender. I mean, they have Jonathan Taylor, running back, who's obviously very good. They have a couple good running backs, Marlon Mack, Hines, Jordan Wilkins, thinking of their receivers, obviously T.Y. Hilton, Michael Pittman, Paris Campbell. But I don't know. I think it depends. I think the Colts, they could potentially come out and be pretty good this year. I don't think they're Rams good, though. And I think especially week 2, we aren't going to be playing a fully comfortable Indianapolis Colts team. So I do think the Rams are going to win this one. I think it could be close. That wouldn't surprise me, but I would be surprised if the Rams lost this game.
Yeah, I would too. I know they're going to Indianapolis, but the Rams have really dominated Indy the last 2 times they've played them. You go back, I mean, this is where Sean McVay started his head coaching career of 44-6 beatdown of the Indianapolis Colts. Scott Tolzien was under center, but then they played luck at Lucas Oil, and that was the game Tavon Austin had like 3 touchdowns. So like the Rams have historically done well against the Colts. Carson Wentz, I think you kind of hit on this. Carson Wentz, I think, is going to be more dangerous later on in the year when he's like had an opportunity to really get the hang of this offense and everything. I know there's familiarity there, of course, having the same coach in Frank Reich, but it's new receivers, it's new weapons, it's a new offensive line, new team altogether. I wouldn't be surprised if, he really starts finding his stride midway through the season. But this is when you'd want to play a team like that. And I think the Rams are going to be pretty well set to win this game. It'll probably be relatively close, but I think the Rams will win this game for sure.
I agree. And then that leads us to week 3, big matchup against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in Los Angeles. Now, this is the only game that I kind of think the Rams will lose. I put a little spoiler alert, because we have our predictions for the schedule. I did put in 2 losses for the Rams. This is one of them. You always, I think, and we said this last year as well when we did this, you always kind of have to account for there's always games that teams should win that they lose. But this is the only one that I'm a little skeptical about for the Rams. I think that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers arguably are the most talented roster in the NFL. I also think they have Tom Brady, which is just like another level, another factor that you have to think about. The Bucs are the reigning Super Bowl champs. That's something to keep in mind. They brought back I think they did bring back everybody on that roster and then some.
Yeah.
So the expectation as of now, at least from everybody, and what should be from everybody, is that the Bucs are going to be really good next year. And I know that this is going to be the hardest team that the Rams play. So if the Rams are going to lose a game, I believe it will be to the Tampa Bay Bucs. I think it could be close. I don't think that the Bucs are going to come to LA and blow us out. I would obviously hope not. But I think that this is going to be the team that gives the Rams the hardest time. What do you think?
It definitely could. I actually have the Rams winning this game. When you look at what they did with Jared Goff last year, going to Tampa and winning on their turf. Now they have Stafford. Now they're at home. I really am surprised this wasn't a primetime game. I know they had one last year, but this seems like one of the best games on the schedule. It's extremely important, despite the fact it's week 3. These are the 2 teams I kind of have duking it out for, the top spot in the NFC. And so this is really important because this could be a tiebreaker that is so important early on in the year that has huge dividends towards the end of the year. I have the Rams winning this game very close, but I do think they are capable of winning at home. If this was in Tampa, I could kind of lean Buccaneers because, you do have to put some losses on the schedule. But I feel like this actually bodes really well for the Rams. It's a great 3-game stretch to have, playing at home, for your first, basically the debut of your stadium with fans. And then you go to Indy. And I mean, that's kind of far, but not too far. And then, you're back at home playing against the Buccaneers. It's a good 3-game stretch. I have the Rams going 3-0 because of it.
All right. So going into week 4, Jake has the Rams going 3-0. I have them at 2-1. And the next game is the Cardinals at Rams. So the Arizona Cardinals, obviously we play them twice in one season. Week 4, they do come to LA. And I believe that the Rams will win this game. I think the Cardinals have obviously done a good job in free agency, right? I mean, they've added, most notably, J.J. Watt and A.J. Green, a couple other guys. They've had pretty decent drafts the past couple years. Just looking at this year, they added Rondale Moore, Zaven Collins, Marco Wilson, Tay Gowan, a lot of guys that actually we liked, which is seems to always happen. But I think that the Cardinals are going to be better than they've been in the past. I still just don't see them on the Rams level. I don't see any scenario really where the Cardinals come into LA and they win. So I think the Rams will win. I don't even necessarily think it's going to be close. I won't be shocked if it's close, but I just think, McVay is not lost to the Cardinals. I don't see that changing anytime soon. So I think that week 4 is going to deliver the Rams a pretty easy win at home. What do you think, Jake?
Yeah, I'm kind of, of that belief as well. I think the Cardinals are, either a year or two away. I've said that so many times. People are probably tired of hearing about it. But the fact of the matter is this. I think the Rams are a Super Bowl contender, and I think the Cardinals are a fringe, wild card team. They're playing at home against the Rams, which I expect to be a really big time, one of the better up-and-coming home field advantages in football. And I just don't think the Cardinals want to play the Rams in October. Had they played them week 1, maybe with Stafford, brand new offense, good things or bad things could happen. This is week 4, and you've already played the Colts, the Buccaneers, and the Bears. You have a pretty good idea of what you're doing at that point. Going against the Cardinals should be no different. Plus, you have the familiarity. So I have the Rams winning by probably a few touchdowns in this game. Probably a couple touchdowns, I would say.
So going into week 5 then, Jake has the Rams at 4-0. I have them at 3-1. The Rams go to New Jersey to play the New York Giants. And fun fact, Jake and I will be at this game, which we are excited about. But here's the thing with this game. I think the Rams are going to win this game, probably pretty easily. But I do think the Giants are going to be better this year than a lot of people probably give them credit for. I know I've said that in the past, and every time I say that, they have some wild injury, like Barkley gets injured, and then things just go downhill. But the way that the Giants have positioned themselves in free agency and the draft is they've added a lot of weapons. And if everything goes the way that they're obviously hoping and thinking it's going to go, and if Daniel Jones steps up and plays as well as they think he's going to play, I think the Giants actually will be halfway decent this season, maybe arguably even winning that division. But I do think the Rams still win. I think at this point in the season, I'm not sure how the Giants are, once you get to week 5, things kind of start gelling, start meshing together. But I just don't really see the Rams losing this game unless everything works perfectly for the Giants and all of those weapons that they added to their offense just go off against the Rams, which again, I don't see happening. That would be the only way that the Rams will lose. But I think the Rams will still win by a few touchdowns. I'm just trying to think of anything else that I could say about that game. I mean, their defense, to me still isn't that great, but what are your thoughts on this, Jake?
Well, defense, I will say, that would be the week 6 matchup because I think we skipped Seattle. So the Rams do have to go to Seattle week 5.
6?
Thursday night football. So the Giants would be week 6.
Okay.
So I'll just hit them both, and then you can double back to Seattle. But I have the Rams beating Seattle. I know they always give them trouble, going to Seattle, but I'm not really high on the Seahawks this year. I've said that repeatedly. I like that they added, Eskridge. I think that'll help, and he'll replace David Moore. But I mean, to me, I don't see too much with the Seattle roster that makes me go, wow. And then, the factor of, potentially losing Russell Wilson at some point, whether you trade him or whether, he just kind of gives up on the team, because I don't know what's going on there. I just don't feel comfortable with Seattle this year. So I have the Rams winning that game. And then the Giants game, I think, is going to be close, really close. I think the Giants are a really good football team. I think they're going to win their division. I think people are sleeping on them. Patrick Graham has created a great defense, in my opinion. You look at what they did last year to the Rams at SoFi. That was not a joke. James Bradbury is a phenomenal corner. They added Adoree Jackson. They brought back Leonard Williams. They added Azeez Ojulari. They have guys in the middle. Obviously what they got out of, the linebacker whose name escapes me from the Packers. They've just done such a great job. And so that's just the defense. When you look at what they did for the offense and what Daniel Jones has, you look at Saquon Barkley coming back, that's like a whole new addition, because you didn't have him really much of last year at all. And then you go out, you get Kenny Golladay, you had Kadarius Toney, you had Kyle Rudolph to go with guys already on the roster, and Sterling Shepard and Darius Slayton and Evan Ingram. You added Kelvin Benjamin. I'll be interested to see where that goes, but they have a lot of weapons, and the offensive line isn't half bad. So I think this Giants-Rams game is going to be exciting, which is cool because we'll be there. But I do have the Rams winning this game by a field goal. So, I think it'll be tough because you're going to MetLife. It might snow. It's October 17th, so probably not, but there could be snow on the ground. And if that's the case, it also creates an interesting dynamic. But the last time the Rams went to MetLife, they won 51-17. So, I don't think it'll be that.
Yeah, I don't think that either. Like we said, I do think that this is a better Giants team for sure than we've seen in the past. They have a lot of weapons, and we'll see if they execute. But to circle back on the Seattle game, I think the Rams do win that game. That's another one of those games. It's just going to Seattle is always, it's like, can you ever confidently say that we'll win? I'm not sure, especially with Russell Wilson. But I do think that the Rams are going to win. But I do think that Seattle had somewhat of a good draft, and I think that they are positioning themselves to be better than they were last year. Do I think it's on the Rams level, talent-wise in the roster? No. But I do think that they are a team to watch. But I do think that the Rams will squeak by with the win. I think it's going to be close when they go to Seattle, week 5. So now we are in week 7, which is the Lions at the Rams. Correct?
All right. Yes, that's a big game. It's a
big game. It's Jared Goff's return to LA, which is going to be, I think, emotional for him. I think it's going to be emotional, for fans. Obviously, depending on who you are, you might have a different reaction on it. But I mean, at the end of the day, Jared Goff was a number 1 overall pick for our team, and he did lead us to a Super Bowl. Obviously, it did not work out the way that we wanted with Jared Goff. I think anytime you draft someone number 1 overall, you're expecting them to stay with your franchise for a long time. So that's a bummer. And, I think most of us have no hard feelings toward Jared Goff, and we want him to succeed in Detroit. However, when he comes to LA and plays our team, we do want him to not succeed. And I think that will be the case. I do think that the Rams win this game. I lean towards saying it might be a blowout because looking at the Lions roster, they have a few good pieces. I mean, I like DeAndre Swift. I like Amon-Ra St. Brown, who's obviously came out of LA, USC. And Michael Brockers also. It's funny, like that we all think of this game as like Jared Goff's return to LA, but Michael Brockers is coming back to LA as well. So yeah, I think they're going to come back to LA and get blown out though. I mean, we'll see. Maybe it'll be close. I just do not see a situation where the Lions do or should win this game. So what do you think?
So we will get to that right after we take this break. But a word from Alexis about Manscaped.
Spring has sprung and Manscaped has the best tools to get you ready. Manscaped are the global leaders in men's below-the-waist grooming and have forever changed the grooming game with their amazing products. They are here to help with your above-the-waist holes, too. Have you heard of their Weed Whacker? This nose and ear hair trimmer provides proprietary skin-safe technology, which helps prevent nicks, snags, and tugs in those delicate holes. No more gross nose hairs flying in the wind. The premium Manscaped Weed Whacker uses a 9,000 RPM motor-powered 360-degree rotary dual-blade system. Manscaped is making whacking your weeds a time to look forward to, delivering maximum confidence while providing hygiene. Speaking of incredible hygiene, Manscaped has formulations to keep you fresh and ready for everything that comes your way all day. The Crop Preserver is an anti-chafing ball deodorant and moisturizer. It's starting to get hot outside, and this is crucial so your balls stop sticking to your leg. That's the legit worst. You'll also find the Crop Reviver, spray-on toner for your balls, which will keep you smelling fresh down there just like spring flowers. Speaking of smelling fresh, complete your grooming game this spring with the new refined cologne Signature Scent by Manscaped. This stuff is legit and will have you smelling like royalty. The cologne is light, approachable, and gentlemanly in all the right ways. You'll be the talk of the next quarantine hang. Smell good, feel good this spring. Get 20% off plus free shipping using code DTR at manscaped.com. Do yourself a favor and always use the right tools for the job.
Yeah, I'm looking at that and I'm thinking, you have what I believe is going to be a run-first offense. I don't know how they're going to be able to compete with Stafford because I don't think Jared Goff is going to be throwing it down the field as much as Stafford is. I have Stafford in my projections throwing just under 40 passes a game. Jared Goff didn't even come close to that last year. So, I mean, they could throw it with him, but I think they're going to try to run the ball. And to be honest with you, I don't know how well they'll be able to run it against the Rams front. You have Aaron Donald, you have Ashawn Robinson, former Lion in his own right. You have Sebastian Joseph Day, who's turned into one of the better nose tackles in football. And you have Bobby Brown, who they added via the draft, as well as Greg Gaines. So, they're really built for the trenches there. And I got news for you. If they can't run the football, they're going to have no chance of beating the Rams. The best way for them to attack the Rams is if they can establish the run, then they basically just play the time of possession battle. If you hold the ball longer, maybe you can win the game, but I don't see it happening. I think the Rams will really have I think they'd have their way with the Lions, especially at home, and I think Stafford would have a little bit of extra. I don't think he has any ill will against the Lions, but I do think he'd want to go out there and show something for sure.
Yeah. So I think at this point, going into week 8, you have the Rams 7-0, and I have them 6-1. So that leaves week 8, and that is the Rams going to the Texans, which are just a poverty franchise. Just terrible. Now, here's the thing. If you look at the Texans depth chart, they actually don't have that bad of a defense, surprisingly. Because I did want to refresh myself. I want to just refresh. I mean, they've got Charles Omenihu, Ross Blacklock, Whitney Merciless, Malik Collins, Shaq Lawson, Lonnie Johnson Jr., Vernon Hargraves. I mean, it's okay. Christian Kirksey. It's a very old roster. They drafted Garrett Wallow, linebacker out of TCU, who I actually really like, and Brevin Jordan, tight end out of Miami. They drafted as well Nico Collins. It's just they're okay. They're okay. I think the Rams are going to blow them out. I think that they're figuring out a lot internally and externally at the Texans franchise. I think that they are just they really need to just clean house or just obliterate themselves and rebrand somewhere else. But they also
Caserio is a brand new GM, so I think if you give him 5 years, I think he can rebuild the franchise. But I hear what you're saying.
They need some deep reflection and time to get themselves together. But what's interesting about the Texans, I think at this point, week 8, it's still probably going to be Tyrod Taylor playing quarterback. I think it's safe to say that Deshaun Watson will not be playing for the Texans this season. So most likely when we go into Houston, we'll be playing Tyrod Taylor. But what's interesting is they also drafted Davis Mills in the 3rd round. And I really like Davis Mills. I don't know if he'll be playing this season or not, but who knows? But most likely we're going to be facing Tyrod Taylor. But yeah, I just don't see any situation where this game is remotely interesting. I would hope that isn't the case. But what are your thoughts on this game?
I don't see this game being close. This is probably the number one candidate for a monster blowout. I mean, I think the Rams drop 50 in this game potentially. Like it's going to be bad. And here's the thing with the Texans, they're more of like the island of misfit toys because they got a bunch of guys that like are still solid football players, but they just don't have they just don't have the the interest, overall interest around the NFL. Like they're solid, but teams are always looking for better. And the Texans are in a weird position where they're kind of like rebuilding. So they're willing to take on guys as if, kind of like they did the year they became an organization when the Houston Texans, they were added to the NFL list of teams. They had an expansion draft, and in the expansion draft, they got all sorts of guys that were solid veterans, but like were pretty much cast-offs. So that's kind of how I look at them now, is like they're that team where they're just taking a Tyrod Taylor who no one wants to sign, and they're making him their starter for the time being because Deshaun Watson has their whole organization flipped on its side. Now the Titans, though, that could be a good game because that's prime time. And, it's going to be really interesting with the Titans. I actually have them missing the playoffs, which I was surprised, but I think they're going to be right on that fence of the wild card. And I think when you look at their departure of Arthur Smith, I'm really curious to see how much that takes a toll on their offense. I like that they went out and got Des Fitzpatrick in the draft. I like that they signed Joshua Reynolds. But I don't know. I mean, I don't. This defense took a hit. They lost. They got rid of a lot of their guys. I don't really know what the direction is with the Titans. I think they could be really good or they could be just average. You know what I mean?
I think they're going to be good. And like I said, there were 2 games that I put down that the Rams were going to lose. One I was kind of sure, and in the Bucs, this one not so much. But I do think the Rams will lose to the Titans. I think it's going to be close. But when I was looking at the Rams roster and thinking, what are the realistic options, for the Rams to lose? The first was the Bucs, and then the second was this game against the Titans or the Rams and Packers. But my question mark with the Packers is that's contingent on if Aaron Rodgers plays, which we don't know if he's going to be a Packer or not. It's kind of looking like he won't be, which is why I went with this game instead. Now, the Titans have kind of a low-key talented roster. I think they are still figuring out that offense a little bit. I mean, they obviously have A.J. Brown and Derrick Henry, which are stars. They do have Josh Reynolds, who we are obviously familiar with. He used to play for us. They did draft Des Fitzpatrick. Other than that, not really anything going on there. Kind of weak in the tight end game. So that's the only reason that I kind of think is holding them back, is they just don't have a lot of weapons on offense. But their defense is pretty solid. I mean, they have a pretty underrated defense, in my opinion. Jeffrey Simmons, Harold Landry, Rashaan Evans, Jayon Brown. They added Caleb Farley in the drafts. They do have Janoris Jenkins on their team, who we're obviously familiar with. So I think that they're going to be a tough team. I think it's going to be close. Won't be shocked if it goes either way. Like I said, this is just, I felt like you have to account for some loss, and this was one of the games that I felt that the Rams were going to potentially lose. So I do have the Titans winning this one. But that goes into week 10, which is the Rams at 49ers, one of our division rivals. And I think the Rams are going to win this game. I think it's going to be closer than people are going to think, though. I just feel like whenever we play the 49ers, we always tend to play down to them. And I think that that's what we'll do. I'm not saying the 49ers are a bad team. I feel like they're just kind of like figuring it out as well. I think, Trey Lance is something maybe to watch out for. I think at this point, week 10, Trey Lance will be the starting quarterback. I don't know if he'll be the starting quarterback to start the season. I feel like there hasn't been real clarity from the 49ers about what they're going to do with that, whether it's going to be Jimmy G or Trey Lance. But however, by the time we play them in week 10, I do think we're facing Trey Lance.
Yeah, I do too. So, I mean, I guess that makes it you're going 9-1 into the bye, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that I am too. I have them losing to the 49ers on the road. It's prime time. It's Monday Night Football. Not honestly the best scenario here for the Rams. Trey Lance is now in week 10 here. I just don't. I don't think if you're gonna pick a loss, this seems like a loss right before the bye. And I'm not even gonna lie. I mean, I bet it's an exciting game, but I could see Trey Lance really just finding his stride at this point in the season. The 49ers have a good team. They've just been injured. So as long as, they don't have injuries and whatnot, which I'm not projecting, I think that they, split one with the Rams, and I'm going to give them the one where they play at home on a primetime slate. So 49ers over the Rams in a close one heading into the bye. So I have 9-1 and you have 9-1 as well.
Yep. So then week 11 is the bye week for the Rams. And then week 12, the Rams come out of the bye going to Green Bay to play the Packers. Like I said earlier, if Aaron Rodgers plays for the Packers this season, I think that the Rams lose this game. However, I don't think that that's going to be the case just based off everything that, is being reported and we're hearing, and just kind of the sentiment that it sounds like is happening between Aaron Rodgers and the Packers. So because I don't think that Aaron Rodgers plays for the Packers, I think that the Rams win this game. Jordan Love will be the starting quarterback for the Packers if it's not Aaron Rodgers. And I don't see Jordan Love coming in this season and playing that great. I just don't. I know when the Packers drafted him, they were saying he was like the next Patrick Mahomes, which I don't agree with at all. But the Packers have a talented team, which we know have known this in the past. But if you look at their offense, obviously Devontae Adams, Alan Lazard, Valdez Scantling, and then they added Amari Rodgers out of Clemson in the third round, who I think is going to be pretty good. I mean, Aaron Jones, A.J. Dillon, Dexter Williams, pretty good. They added Kylan Hill. Their offensive line is pretty good. Robert Tonyan Jr. really broke out last season. So that offense is really good, especially with Aaron Rodgers. However, I'm not sure if he's going to be there or not. So I think the Rams will win this game if Aaron Rodgers is not playing. But we'll see. I mean, we're not going to know the answer to that, I don't think, for a while.
Yeah, I actually think the Rams win even with Rodgers. I think the Rams might have beat the Packers last year, had they had a healthy Aaron Donald. I thought Goff played pretty well. Stafford has a lot of familiarity playing against the Packers. He has familiarity playing at Lambeau. Now he just gets to go to Lambeau with a better roster and a better supporting cast. And so I think the Rams, being, the better team, would win that close.
Yeah, I mean, I would think it's going to be a close game either way for sure. I don't think either team is going to blow out the other. But that leads us into week 13, where the Jaguars come to town. The Jacksonville Jaguars, led by Wonder Boy Trevor Lawrence. And I think that the Rams are going to absolutely obliterate the Jaguars. I think a lot of teams are going to obliterate the Jaguars this season. I don't think that Urban Meyer has any idea what he's doing. I mean, he's trying to use Travis Etienne as a receiver when Etienne was a horrible receiving back in college. So it just doesn't make sense to me. If you look at the Jaguars roster, I mean, obviously Trevor Lawrence, like I mentioned, Travis Etienne, they took in the first round as well. James Robinson's another pretty solid running back they've got. Laviska Shenault not bad. DJ Chark, not bad. Then they've got Marvin Jones, who whatever. If you look at their defense, not half bad. They're missing a lot of key pieces, in my opinion. I mean, they've got Miles Jack, who's pretty good. Josh Allen, obviously really good at defensive end. They drafted some guys like Andre Sisco, Tyson Campbell, obviously added Dylan Moses, who we really like in free agency, UDFA. Oh, and then Jordan Smith out of UAB, who we also really like. But I just don't think I have faith in the Jaguars' just organization, and especially Urban Meyer. I think it's going to be a really hard season for them. So I do think that the Rams blow them out, especially at home. But what do you think, Jake?
Yeah, I just think Trevor Lawrence is about to hit a buzzsaw, which is the Rams defense. Aaron Donald, Ashawn Robinson, Sebastian Joseph Day, Bobby Brown, Leonard Floyd, Terrell Lewis. I mean, that's not going to be good. And then the corners, Darius Williams and Jalen Ramsey, and potentially Robert Rochelle this late in the year. With that secondary, 3 safety, 4 safeties deep, you even look at Nick Scott. It's just not a good matchup for a rookie. And I don't think any of these receivers, while I like them, I like Shenault, I love Chark, and I really like Marvin Jones. I don't think any of them are going to terrify any of the corners of the Rams. Chark's deep speed could be an issue, but Chenault's not going to hurt the Rams. And Marvin Jones, I'm sure they can figure out a way to defend Marvin Jones. So, I think all in all, the Jaguars, they're a team that, will be interesting this year because literally anything could happen. But as good as, Trevor Lawrence is, I expect him to struggle against the Rams.
Yep, I agree. So week 14, the Rams go to Arizona. So we already played Arizona at this point. We do go to Arizona, and I think we win again. I mean, honestly, like we've mentioned, Sean McVay has not lost to the Arizona Cardinals, I believe. And, I think that this game will be closer because it's obviously an away game, but I still don't foresee a situation where the Rams lose this. I do think it's going to be close. I don't think they're necessarily going to go to Arizona and blow the Cardinals out. But I do think that the Rams will win this second matchup against the Arizona Cardinals.
Yeah, like you said, I think at home, the Rams, maybe it's a little closer, in Arizona, but at home, I think it was the blowout. This one, I think it's going to be a little closer as well. You have the primetime aspect of it. You have the fact you're playing in Arizona. I still think the Rams win, but Arizona in their second crack at Matthew Stafford, they might have a better game plan. So because of that, I got to give them the benefit of the doubt there to make this close, but I still think the Rams win.
I agree. And then after this, we play the Seahawks again, but this time at home. And I think that the Rams are going to win this game. I think it is going to be kind of like, the first game that I mentioned. I think it is going to be a close game. I think the Rams win again. But like I said, I don't know. I like the Rams. The Seahawks offense this season. I think that, Dwayne Eskridge was a really great addition. I mean, you've got him with Lockett and Metcalf. I mean, that's a pretty good receiver trio. They also added Tamori and Terry out of Florida State as a UDFA. Their offensive line, I think, is actually not that bad. I don't think they added as many offensive line pieces as Russell Wilson would have liked in the draft, though. I mean, they only took Stone Forsythe, which did fall to the 6th round, surprisingly. But I actually really like him. And then their defense obviously is not half bad. So I don't think the Seahawks are a bad team, but I do think that the Rams are going to beat them twice this season.
Yeah, I agree with you. And I think that this could be closer to maybe not a blowout, but I think they'll win comfortably here. Back end of their schedule, I think they'll be feeling pretty good about this game. I have the Rams winning as well.
So then that leads us into the next week where the Rams go to Minnesota and they play the Vikings. I think that the Rams are going to win this game, but I do think the Vikings are going to be better this year than they were last year. I really like their offensive line. in Minnesota. I mean, they added in the first round Christian Darrisaw at tackle. In the third round, they added Wyatt Davis out of Ohio State, who's probably going to start at guard for them. They've got Garrett Bradbury, Ezra Cleveland, Brian O'Neill. So I really do like their offensive line. They didn't really add too many weapons on offense, though, which was a little surprising. But they do have, obviously, Adam Thielen and Justin Jefferson, and then B.C. Johnson, who has been on our show before. They added Amir Smith-Marset out of Iowa, Wap Filer. And their defense is pretty, I think that their defense is okay. They did add Chaz Surratt out of North Carolina, which I thought was a good pickup for them. But I still think the Rams go to Minnesota. I think they win. I don't think it's a blowout, but I don't think it's close either. I say they win by 2 touchdowns.
I'm kind of the same camp there. I'm really curious to see how well ISM, Amir Smith-Marset, fits in with that offense, because he could be a really good third piece there. But I think they'll be able to run the ball a little bit with Dalvin Cook, put some pressure on the Rams defense with, 2 stud wide receivers and Adam Thielen and Justin Jefferson. But all in all, I think the Rams do win this, probably by around 6 to 7 points, I'd say.
Yeah, I agree. And then going into week 17, the Rams are at the Ravens, Baltimore Ravens, I believe. Am I looking at this correct?
You are correct.
So week 17, the Rams go to Baltimore and they play the Ravens. Now, the Ravens are an interesting team because they were really good and then they kind of fell off. And I feel like they're going to be okay this season. I don't think the Ravens are going to be that great, honestly. But here's the thing. They obviously have Lamar Jackson at quarterback. They've got Marquise Hollywood Brown, receiver, obviously very good. They drafted Rashad Bateman in the first round out of Minnesota. He's pretty good. But when you get into that third receiver slot, you've got Sammy Watkins or Miles Boykin or Devin DuVernay, I believe is how it's pronounced. They're okay. And listen, I like Miles Boykin. I'm a Notre Dame fan. I don't think, I think he's more of a wide receiver 4 than he is a wide receiver 3. They did add Talon Wallace, actually, now that I think about it. So, I don't know. I think that they're going to be okay. If you look at the running back position, they obviously have J.K. Dobbins, who had a really good year. Their offensive line, not too bad. They obviously, traded Orlando Brown to the Chiefs, and then they signed Villanueva to replace him. Zietler from the Giants is pretty good. Bradley Bozeman's pretty good. Ronnie Stanley, obviously pretty good. So I think they have a pretty decent offense. Their defense, to me, not that great. It's pretty old. It's a pretty old defense, other than Patrick Queen, one of their middle linebackers, and Marlon Humphrey. So I think the Rams are going to win comfortably in Baltimore. But what do you think, Jake?
Yeah, I think the Rams are going to lose in Baltimore. You're looking at January football. It's going to be really cold. You have a team in the AFC North that basically knows this weather very well. They're used to playing in this weather. Keep in mind, Matthew Stafford, while he played in Detroit, Michigan, he also played in a dome. So there's, you do have that cold weather factor. I think most likely you're going to want to keep it on the ground. And for that reason, I think Lamar Jackson will be able to, give the Rams some fits. And so I have the Ravens winning this game. If the Rams win, I won't be shocked, but I do have the Ravens winning this game close.
And that leads us into week 18, the last week of the NFL regular season. And this week, the 49ers visit LA. And I think that this game, and this is something you pointed out to me a couple weeks ago, like week 18 is like, for good teams, it's usually backups playing, which I think will be the case for the Rams, because I do think the Rams will have clinched a playoff spot at this point, and I think they're going to be resting their starters and, not trying to get anyone injured who doesn't have to be. But I still think that the Rams are going to win comfortably. I think that they're going to win probably by like at least 2 to 3 touchdowns, maybe more, against the 49ers. The 49ers are a good team, but they're coming to LA. And I just think that home field advantage is going to be good for the Rams in this one. So I think that the Rams are going to have a pretty easy wrap up on the season.
Yeah, so I guess we disagree in a sense. I have them winning as well, but I don't have them winning by that much. I would say this game could be really interesting. And I think it's going to be because I think the Niners are going to compete for a wild card spot. So I think they're going to be, going for this 5th or 6th seed here, with this game. And I think the Rams are, because of, the expansion of the playoffs, there's only one first round bye. So I think they'll be competing with Tampa at the end of the year for the first round bye. And so I think they're going to need to probably play Stafford in this one. You could see Wolford in like the second half if it's clear that they're going to have, the first round bye. But if not, expect Stafford. And I think the Rams win regardless. Even if Wolford plays, I think the Rams win. But, I have the Rams at a final total of 15-2 on the season, which feels really weird to say.
That's what I have the Rams at as well, 15-2. I think that the Rams have a very talented roster. I think they're going to be pretty dangerous, especially offensively, if everything works out the way that they're planning on it working out. So it'll be interesting to see. I mean, I obviously hope that we're not overhyping this team, which is obviously natural for fans to do for their teams, but I don't think that we are in this case. I think that there's a lot of pressure on McVay and Stafford, individually and as a team this year. I think that they both have a lot to prove. I think that there's a lot on the line, and I think that they're going to deliver. So I'm excited. I see some people kind of on Twitter talking about schedule strength for the Rams. I have no problem with this schedule. I think that this was if you're a Rams fan, you should be very, very happy with the schedule that the Rams have this season. Compared to some other teams. I mean, like I said, there's really only 2 teams on this schedule that I actually think are games that we could lose. And one of them is contingent on Aaron Rodgers. I just think, the vast majority of the teams that we play this season are, I think very easily beatable for the Rams and the talent that we have on our roster. So we'll see. I mean, a couple months now, it's May, we get to September, season kicks off. It'll be here before we know it.
Yeah, you're not kidding. I mean, it's right around the corner. I can't believe it's almost June. But yeah, I mean, I think you look at the schedule, it looks pretty fair. I wouldn't say the Rams got totally hosed or anything like that. They have a rough end to the schedule, you could argue, playing the 49ers, Ravens, and, Vikings and Seahawks and Cardinals. But I also don't think the Seahawks are going to be that great. So there's that. One thing I'll say for anybody that's questioning why, we're so high on the Rams, keep this in mind. Sean McVay is 37-0 when leading at halftime, and that was with Jared Goff. So now you get Matthew Stafford, who literally was throwing interceptions because his team was down by 10, 17, 14, 20, 21, like all sorts of high point totals. And now you get him, and likely he's going to be in charge of a team that is leading at halftime, which he's not really used to. So I think it's going to bode well for the Rams. This is a perfect get. My thoughts on that. I said it all along. Matthew Stafford, when they got him, that was a game-breaking move. And I think he's going to win the MVP this year. So at 15-2, MVP, I mean, I have them winning the Super Bowl. I don't know about you, but, I think it sounds weird, but can we really say that we're overhyping a team that's already been in a Super Bowl in the last 3 years, and they've consistently been above 500, and they've consistently looked like a Super Bowl team, over those years since McVay took over? I mean, that's the thing. They're one of the best teams in football since 2017. They're the second most winning team since 2017. So, it's something to keep in mind.
It is. And we will be back, at some point. Obviously, we're in the off season, but, we will be obviously, dropping some episodes. But until next time, guys, stay tuned. Please, if you like what you hear, like and subscribe. You can follow us on social media at Downtown Rams. You can follow me on Twitter at the Alexis Craft. You can follow Jake at JKBogan DTSN. Until next time, guys, stay safe, take care, and go Rams. Get 20% off and free shipping with the code DTR at manscaped.com. That's 20% off with free shipping at manscaped.com, and make sure to use code DTR. Unlock your confidence and always use the right tools for the job with Manscaped.